Here we go, friends. We're live. We're live on a Friday.
On a Friday afternoon for you and a Friday
Friday
morning for me.
afternoon. I know this is like annoying conversation, but I have to ask, what is the weather by you? Because I am really curious.
So thank you so much for asking, Melissa. The weather by us, as I look at and not even ask Siri, but I look, it's 55 right now
Is
with
it? Okay.
62. Yesterday was a little cloudy and sunny, and today is a little cloudy and a little rainy. But I have to tell you, all the cherry blossoms, all those they're starting to pop and they look
Oh,
beautiful. Outside I think this is, I have no idea because I have no clue with horticulture, but this I think they're white blossom something. I don't know if it's an apple tree, I don't know what the hell it is. I don't know if
it's
it's
just
a,
beautiful.
they're just really pretty. And if you go down some of the streets, you'll see all these beautiful, pardon me, cherry blossoms. It's beautiful. Absolutely.
Oh, I love it. Well, welcome, Elias. People are hopping on. We're chatting about the weather and the cherry blossoms, which is amazing. So hi, Dolores. She said, "Are they oleanders?" I wonder. Oleander could
Laura,
be.
your audience.
Yeah, I'm like, I
No clue.
know when they smell nice, I like them. I know nothing about flowers. Good morning, Betty. Hello, everybody hopping on. So Elias is in Washington, and I'm in New York, and we're just kind of chatting for a moment here. I know,
Coast
like
to,
coast to
we're
coast.
coast to coast, everybody. We're coast to
Coast
coast.
to coast. Hello, everybody. Hi, Susan. Hi, Betty. Delora. Welcome in. Welcome in. So glad you guys can be here with us today. We're going to chat. We're going to have fun. We always have so much fun. I laugh so hard.
We do.
Elias is one of those people where I don't even know how to explain this. It's kind of like, do you ever watch something? You ever watch like a movie or a show, comedy, and you're in the moment, you're watching it and you're like, this is silly or this is whatever, but it hits you later and you have this moment of remembrance and you just find yourself like cracking up in the most random of places. We have conversations like that where later something just smacks my heart or my head and I lose my shit. And I'm like, oh my gosh, Elias and some of the
That's a
things he shared.
t-shirt. That's a t-shirt, Melissa. That's a t-shirt. It hits my heart as it smacks my shit. That's good.
It's all yours. It's all yours to create.
That's
I'm handing it
all right.
over.
That's all right.
Hey, everybody. Nice to see you all. So, we are going to have some serious but fun conversation. We're going to be talking about discovering your untapped potential. And thanks for being here. Everybody's hopping in. You made it. Lovely. Hi, Cindy. Hello. Hello. Okay. So, Susan said, yay, fellow New Yorker. Welcome. Betty is also on the West Coast. And then we have Chris from Iowa. I love this. Everybody's sharing. Welcome. Look at you guys all hopping in. This is so fantastic. It's always hard to tell like what works, Friday or people around Fridays. Is it a Wednesday at noon? It's always like such a random thing to figure out, but it looks like a bunch of you around today. So this is fabulous.
And
So,
the best thing is they can watch the replay too. If you're watching the replay,
okay. Yeah, say hello, let us know. Say hi now if you're with us, and replay, please just let us know. And then we have Amy from Pennsylvania, Vicky from Oklahoma. Fantastic friends. So I am just so excited about today. Like I was saying, Elias and I have some amazing conversations, but I do want to take just a moment here. If you're unfamiliar with Elias, or this is the first time you're seeing his fabulous Greek face, I just want to welcome Elias and just share with you guys a little bit about him. He does so many incredible things, deeply intuitive, amazing coach. He's a best-selling author. We were just talking before we hopped on live here about this, but he's an intuitive motivator, and I'm going to ask him about that in just a moment. But he's also a psychic medium, motivational speaker, and a retreat and workshop facilitator. So welcome, Elias, and your
thank you
lovely
so much.
sweater.
Thank you. Olive to match the olive skin.
That's right. So let's chat about that because we were talking about it for just a couple of minutes before we went live. And I was like, intuitive motivator. It's intriguing. It's unique. It's got like this alluring curiosity to it. But can you share a little bit about what the thought process is around that or what that
Sure.
means?
So, there's so much that I do, and I'm like, how do I wrap it up in one? And I was taking a class, it was called the Healing Circle. It was a business class with Dougal Fraser.
Hmm.
And he's like, what is your 10-second elevator speech? And we had to practice that 30 seconds, whatever. And he's like, if it's a minute long, that's fine. And we'll work on it. He's like, people need to know what you do. And I'm like, that's fascinating, because when I used to teach massage in Chicago, we would tell the students, what is that elevator speech? Like, you just don't hand them a business card. What can you
Right.
say about you? You're carrying this, if you're doing outcalls, you're carrying that big massage table. People are like, what is that? Oh, I'm a massage therapist. Well, how can you tell them more? Because there's a dime a dozen. How can I tell them? How can I intrigue people without saying, I'm a psychic medium, I'm a life coach, I'm this, I'm that, I'm this? So, intuitive motivator, I think that bridges the gap with everything. I think that what I help clients do, and anybody that works with me in a workshop, whatever, I believe my goal is to help them connect to their goals, to see what they want, whether it's intuition, whether it's life coaching, whatever it is, so they can educate themselves in what's blocking them from
Mm.
getting to that goal, and then grow into their limitless possibilities.
I love it. I love it. I have so many questions bubbling up, and I love this when we start chatting and connecting and things just start coming through. So when you're speaking on that, I'm thinking of the topic that we kind of came up with to kind of share today, and this idea of discovering your untapped potential. Do you feel like that's a part of the process through working with people where they're feeling stuck or they're feeling blocked? You're helping them sort of uncover whatever it is that might be going on in a place of, sometimes we feel like we have limitations or we have things that might be in our way. Do you feel like those are connected, though, the untapped potential, and then also whatever that client or individual might have as a block or a barrier? Like, does that make
Sure.
sense asking that?
It totally makes sense, because the first thing that when you're saying this, I'm getting a visual of somebody moving forward, but they have blinders on.
Mhm.
And these blinders can be cause societal blinders, um, generational blinders,
Yeah.
or they can be fill in the blank. They can be peer pressure blinders, whatever it is. For example, Greek, right? Greek. You're going to be a lawyer, doctor. Don't be a restaurant owner, but you're going to be a lawyer or a doctor or something that's business minded, right? So there is my block right here. I can't, I shouldn't, I won't do X, Y, and Z. Here's where you already put me in that block. You've already
Yeah.
put me in the box. And in that box, I'm sitting and I'm like, how do I get out? But I
Mm.
have to be the good kid. I have to be the good friend. I have to be
Right.
the good whatever, fill in the blank, to fit in that good place.
I love
That,
this.
yeah, exactly. So I am limiting myself because I am hyper focused so much on this that I'm not understanding what this is the possible um possibility
Awesome.
possible possibilities. What is
Another shirt.
right? What is possible for me? What is something that I haven't been able to tap into because I was told or programmed lovingly, whatever it is? I mean, I don't think my parents did it, you know, we're going to get you stuck in here. But
Right.
the moment that I said no, which took me actually 46 years
Mm.
to realize what a big people pleaser I was. That
Yeah.
piece was the limiting factor for me. That piece was the part where I was like, wow. And it then took me 4 years to practice not being a people pleaser.
Right. So you have the insight, the awareness, but you still have to do the work. Like you have to still do the work to now own that realization or that
Mhm.
aha moment or experience. What So doing that, and I know you do that in so many different ways. You work with clients through this. You are a model of it in that way where you walk that path in your life, and so you have real lived experience that you can then work with clients. What do you feel was like in your realization of, oh, I can do things differently. I don't have to stay in this box. What are either a couple examples or a specific example of something that was able to then take form in your life when the barriers of that box came down or you had that realization? So, an example of like you tapping into that hidden potential, do you have a moment of that or an example of what was able to then come forward or step into? Or
Sure, great question. And so many thoughts are coming in. I'm
I
just
know,
gonna
I'm like, there's a million, I'm sure, examples.
um, I'm gonna start with this. When I was young, when my parents died at 35, when I was 35 and 36, and at 37, I remember going to the cemetery, beating my hands on the ground and saying, "Why did you leave me?"
Mm,
Being an only child, it was really difficult, and I was in a 12-year relationship, but at this point, the relationship was maybe 4 years old, and a lot of stuff was coming up in the relationship. A lot of the two kids that I was helping to raise, the like, the one didn't care that I was gay. The other one was like, oh my God, going into junior high school, and now your father's with a gay man. And I
mm.
remember, I remember her stating, um, you know, Elias doesn't have anywhere to go, so he's living with us.
Oh, wow.
So when my parents said, when I heard them say, we left so you could grow up,
Mm,
that was just, I didn't understand it then. I was so still in the grief process. I didn't understand that what I took it to mean was that we are now giving you the permission to move forward. We put you in here because we thought that was right. Now step outside of that box. The moment that I had that aha was like, wow. And now, wow, I don't care what anybody else thinks. Being a gay man, being a psychic, being a medium, being me.
yeah.
It was okay, and I'll say this, more than okay, to be me. And that unleashed my potential of saying, wow, what else is better? How can it get better? What else is possible? How can it get better than this?
Oh, I love this. I love this too, because this also ties deeply into the work you do around authenticity. So you're also speaking to that level of that natural result of becoming more authentic, tapping into those genuine aspects of who you are that sometimes are a quality, sometimes are a personality trait, sometimes it's just a perspective, right? But we get to take ownership of that in a way that feels so unique and authentic. So you work a lot with authenticity with people as well in these different processes. And I know you have a retreat coming up. So I do want to talk about that for a moment here, because I feel like I know that's such a big part of unfolding for people. They come, they gather, they're with like minded people, they discover parts of themselves. Can you talk a little bit about that type of energy that you witness when people really start to realize, like, wow, I was in this box, or the layers are coming down and you see that happening? Can you speak to that a little bit, especially in that group retreat sort of dynamic?
I have to say, first and foremost, Melissa, it is an honor to watch that process.
Yeah.
It's looking at, in a sense, like that caterpillar turning into that butterfly, those onion layers being unraveled, because the group makes it safe for people to do that. I do my best to be as vulnerable as possible, to give examples, so it makes it a safe place for people to also open up with no judgment. I
Mm,
think that the moment that they give themselves permission of saying, I'm not going to be judged here, I'm not going to be ridiculed, I'm not going to be shamed for something, that I can say this right or wrong, doesn't matter, that,
Right.
and I'm willing to go within, retreat within, that allows me to say, okay, I cut off all the blah, 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 the outside chaotic noise. I'm going to handle what I don't normally handle. I'm speaking about me personally and others of you that are listening, of that inside chaotic noise. Because now this part isn't influenced this part. This part you can say to yourself, is that true?
Hmm.
Is that true? Is what I've been telling, the story that I've been weaving for myself, is that true? Or is it a lineage thing? Or is it a social thing? What is it? So when someone gives you the permission, what I tell people is, they're like, oh, thanks for so much for the retreat. Well, guess what? I'm just providing the playground, and I am the fence around the playground. Now go play. Go
Right.
play. And giving people that permission, and them having the tools inside of that, whatever retreat is being done. Each retreat of mine has a certain theme to it. We could do the same exercise on a retreat, and then it has a different purpose, and it'll have a whole different meaning. We do this really great thing on one of the retreats, that I have people pick up a river stone or a rock, not a crystal, but a rock, and they pick it up and they look at it. They'll breathe their energy into that stone and then give it to their person that's across from their partner. And what I do is I have them look at the stone and talk about it as if they were an ant crawling on that stone, or
Hmm.
or as an eagle flying above that. So if I know it's a crystal, everybody, don't come after me. Let's pretend it's a rock. Hang on, because I know how some of you are. Please hold your horses. Please hold it.
I love all the nature, the horses, the rocks, the ants.
So if I do something like this and I breathe energy in it, and I'm looking at this stone, and I'm like, I'm on a cliff, and I'm on this cliff, and it has this ridge, barking on the truth. And as I go up that ridge, I realize that it's a little softer here. And then as I go down, there's another ridge, and it's not as rough. Right.
Rough.
Rough. Right. Yes. We're done. Thank you. Thank you for your input. It's not as rough or as hard to climb down as it was up. Now, you don't know what that person blew into that stone. I am
Right.
just reading the stone. I'm reading that this is like more up and down valleys. But if you flip it, on the flip side, it's very smooth. So you could be talking about a whole different thing that's going to make sense to the person that stone it was that they breathed that energy in. Giving an example, exactly, giving the example of whatever, Amazon, Amazon example. I know.
I love it. It's so powerful because I think it's amazing what happens for people in they start engaging with the natural world in a different way, very intentional like this with the practices you offer. The environment is so soothing for this, and stirring in different ways. And I feel like, speaking on just this idea of this untapped potential and discovering these different parts of us, there's something also really powerful about being out of your own environment that allows you to see more, to experience more. You don't have your day-to-day things in the way. You don't have, the things that are competing for your attention around you. So when you go on a retreat like this, you're really present in a completely different way than we like to think that we are when we're home or at work. Families around, things are happening, and it's so different to go on a retreat and have someone like yourself facilitating these practices. There's a different type of attention that you access. And I love this idea of the rock. I will admit, when you first showed it, I thought it was a potato. And I was like, what does he do with his potato on the shelf? And then you said stone. I'm like, oh, it's stone. It's not a potato. But that would be interesting because it would just be more things. It'd just be more things coming out, right? Oh my gosh.
Back of
But
school.
anyway, yeah, don't do that. So you will also have plenty of comic relief at Elias's retreats, just saying. But
And
really, the untapped potential.
important too, Melissa.
It
People don't
is.
realize that the humor, and as doing the work that you do, that humor is important. The storytellers, the chiefs, the shamans of indigenous culture. I think they added humor into that so much to
Absolutely.
allow there to be this balance piece.
Yeah, I agree. There's a figure that we work with when we do a lot of work with like fairy tales and mythology and in the Jungian tradition, there's this idea of a trickster. And so
Yes,
this trickster can take form as a person, it can take form as an animal, it can take form as a relentless problem that gets more and more comical as it goes on. I remember I was listening one time to Abraham Hicks. It was a recording like years and years ago, and I remember when Jerry was still alive, talking with Esther, and they were talking about their floors and how they moved from place to place to place, and there was always an issue with the floor, something going on with the floor. Those are examples of these random like trickster kind of moments that we can be very frustrated with at first, or we can laugh too, but sometimes it takes a little bit to get to the laughter or to understand what is going on within this. But that
right.
play, that joy, the lifting of the energy in that way is so important. And if we pay attention and we're present in this way, it'll show up for us. We don't even have to always try to create it. It usually finds its way into the situation, just like Elias with the stone and me thinking it's a potato. Like these aren't like scripted things. These are just things that happen. But they're important, they're fun, they're playful, and that is part of growth and expansion. Do you have an unexpected, like a moment or something that you can share? And this can be in the work that you do with people, it could be at a retreat, but like just some sort of playful, joyful, unexpected thing that maybe happened as an example, or even just within your life that you can think of that was just kind of like comical, but also very fitting and sort of, it sometimes even just takes us out of our seriousness or
Welcome to my world, Melissa.
I'm like, I feel like I'm speaking your
Which
language.
which moment would you which moment would you like?
That's one of the million, yeah.
Um, I have to say that the first thing that comes up would be the comic relief with the lesson. So
Mhm.
even if it wasn't for me, my mom and dad tell this great story. And story time, guys.
All
Get your
right, I
blanket.
love it.
Uh, so my mom and dad, as many of you know, I was adopted. I was born in Athens, Greece. Mom was 46, dad was 56 when they adopted me. And they had to go back to Greece. I don't know why. I think they had to do like some other paperwork at some time. Who knows? Um, so they went back to Greece. I think it was 1970 or it was something late 60s, early 70s. And my mom comes back. She tells a story about my dad. And they're walking through this small town in Greece. And my dad had a bigger mouth than I do. He could go on and on and on, right? University of Chicago graduate, but yakka, 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 yakka. So my mom walks slow, and my mom's like, we're going to be late. My dad was forever late. And she used to have to tell him to be somewhere an hour ahead to get there on time. Anyway, so they're going to catch a bus, and my mom is like, "You go tell the bus that I'll be right there," because my mom was 5 feet tall, short legs. They don't travel fast, let me tell you, and I know that. So my dad's running ahead, and there's a commotion, and they're like, oh my God, there's somebody that dropped yogurt on the American man, blah, 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 blah. My mom's hearing this, and the story goes like this. My dad's rushing to get the bus, and he's hearing something hissing in the suitcase. And he thought something got into the suitcase. Now, I don't know if there's snakes in Greece, not that I know of, but they're rushing, and my dad's rushing. So he went to open up the suitcase because he was right there by the bus to see what it was. The shaving cream exploded, went all over my dad. Someone shouting from balcony, some man threw yogurt on the American man. My mom's rushing up, going, every time she's like trying to wipe it off, it got worse. So
It's
this
like
lady,
bigger, foaming more.
huge, yeah. So
Oh my
my
God.
this lady comes out of her house, takes my mom and dad inside. She washes my dad's jacket and pants, gives him a robe. They catch the next bus. But in that story, even though it's a funny story, my mom was laughing throughout the whole story. And when my mom laughed hysterically, this is what it would sound like. Nothing would come out. So even that in itself,
Yeah.
looking at how something could be so horrific and looking at how something could be like, oh my God, she could have gotten mad at my dad. She could have gotten, but people have good hearts. Strangers will come and help with support. There's so many good little nuggets of lessons in that story. That's the first thing that popped in.
I love this because you know what's going through my head is in order to experience the joy and the magic and the wonder and the enchantment in that in that hilarious story, everything, your mother's mannerisms while she laughed, like all of it, you have to be open.
Right.
And to be open in that way, it takes this ability to release control. And I think that also deeply ties into this idea of untapped potential. The more we're willing to play and to move through an experience to make the best of it sometimes, to understand it other times. But there's something also about that release of control around a dynamic that brings other possibilities in. So that
Right.
was just coming to me as I'm listening and I'm laughing and I'm like, oh my gosh, there's such power in story. And I know that's a big part of retreat experiences as well, is sharing the story. So you have yourself as the facilitator, holding the space, creating the space, but then there's all these other moments and stories being created when people come together. And I think that we're learning more and more how to trust the unknown and how to let go of control. And I can say that personally in my life, being able to tap into new gifts, skills, talents, ideas, ways of being, whatever it is, I had to sort of let go of what you're talking about earlier, the idea of who I thought I was on one hand, but then also I had to really let go of trying to control how things were, what they were going to be like, how they were going to happen. Because every now and then, maybe something might actually go the way I thought, but it's usually rare. Most of the time, it's this unexpected blessing or gift that comes through those comical moments. And there's just something really beautiful about that. So, anyway, that's just what came to me when you're sharing, is like letting go of control to also allow yourself to tap into deeper potential, to discover more outside of that framework you were talking about earlier. I love that. I love that story. I wish I could have met your parents. I just feel like they were, they would just be so fun to sit around and like have a cup of coffee and listen to.
And my mom was very Jackie O, very,
Yeah.
Jackie Nass is very prim and proper. And the way that she tells the story is just, it's very sweet. She told many stories and about our background and about family, and it was just always great to hear her. But like you said, I got my control issues from my parents. I
Mhm.
got the perfectionist piece from my parents, and it's that unraveling. And in that story, you could have that. And
Yeah.
that's why I think, and you were there because you were at Celebrate Your Life when I won the when I got to do the speaker program and got to do the workshop. um I was on that stage, and um Liz wanted an outline of every, like what I was doing, those sections of that 2-hour program.
Mhm.
And I've never worked with a PowerPoint before. Everything that went wrong. Like the PowerPoint didn't work. I had to
Trickster again.
I know I had to like do it on my on myself, by myself, going like, okay, how do I? And the AV guy was trying to help, didn't work. So I'm getting nervous. I can feel the Greek body sweating as I'm up there, trying to smile and smile. And I'm looking at the clock that's on the floor that's ticking. I'm like, oh gosh, oh my God, did I just talk for an hour and 25, an hour and 30 minutes? Oh my God, I only have half an hour. Let me do this, faster. So I did the whole PowerPoint. I did my presentation. I'm like, now let's close our eyes and bring ourselves together for, in my head, our closing meditation and a couple Q&As, right? So as everybody's closing their eyes, I'm looking at the clock. I'm like, wait a second. That clock's not counting down. That's the actual time clock. That's a time clock. I thought it was because it was 2 o'clock. I thought it was counting down 2 hours.
Yeah.
I had an hour and 20 minutes to fill.
Oh my gosh.
I was
Oh
done in
my.
40 minutes. I was done in 40 minutes. And in that moment, I just, I grabbed the microphone and I said, look, I could be up here going on and on about manifesting your desires, but I'd like to know what you guys want to do. So I stepped off the stage and went into the audience to ask them questions and get some their examples of what they wanted and how I can move them through. And it worked out the way that it should have worked out, which was excellent. Not perfect, everybody, but excellent. And it's trusting in that moment that we can have everything planned out as and I'll use the word that you all know that I don't like to use, perfect as it could be. It was planned out. And in that moment, it didn't turn out the way that it was supposed to be perfect, but it turned out to be excellent. And that was the piece that really that showed me how I could think on my feet, even if it was wrong. I just went with the flow and I went with my heart.
Absolutely. And that's the magic of trusting. I mean, sometimes sure the world will kind of like force us into that situation of like, Elias standing on the stage going, "Oh my gosh, I still have to fill this time." That's a great example of that trickster moment. Something I'll never forget is when I was first like learning about these different like archetypal themes and stuff like that. There's this idea that when the trickster appears, you end up in sort of like these situations where you can feel like it's a double bind. Like, what am I going to do? I'm trapped, in this. But the answer is always a part, like the solution is always a part of the trick. So there's
Mhm.
always something in the trick that's there for us if we're willing to tap into it. So even you just saying, I'm going to grab this microphone and I'm going to head on in and ask the people what they want. That was the way out of that double bind. And then you got to speak from this other place. Not that the first 40 minutes weren't from your heart or weren't magnificent, right? In what you had structured for people, but they got to view a different part of you, another authentic part of you outside of that framework. So it's kind of like they got two amazing presentations from you. So I think that's kind of cool how that happened. Yeah, I love this. I love this. I feel like it's important for people to see these kind of things because it's really easy for them to look at someone like yourself and to say, oh, well, he's got all this stuff figured out and he's, a pro and this and that. And yet there's a whole inner dialogue, and a whole behind the scenes kind of thing that's unfolding too. And I think that's important as people are learning to tap into their potential to realize sometimes it's messy, but that doesn't mean it can't be fun and deeply sacred in that process. I mean, that just feels like it's a part of it. Don't you think like there's no
Totally.
getting out of that? Like it's your rite of passage in a way, right?
And I think that happens for all of us, and I don't think we recognize it. And I think
Mm-hmm.
that's why going to a workshop, going on a retreat, doing the self-help work for yourself to really, whether it's with somebody or you open up a book, having the permission to say yes to you is so important. We're saying yes to ourselves. I have this saying that I always say on some of my lives. It's like, yes, I can, because yes, I am.
Oh, I love that. That's
So
actually
Laura,
another great t-shirt.
I'm sorry.
I said it's just another great t-shirt.
Isn't that a great t-shirt? Or it could be painted on a rock.
Oh, look at that. Yes, I
Or,
can.
or it could also, please hold. Or it could also be put on a cup. I didn't
Well,
do
there
this.
it is. That's
Okay.
awesome. I didn't know you actually had those on there. That's pretty cool.
Yes.
I like
Delora
that.
wants to know if I shave with yogurt. Yes, it's a Greek tradition. We do Greek yogurt and only on one side of the face. It's really important. And as you do the one side, Delora, you have to sing the Greek national theme song, the independence song, the Greek anthem in Greek. You have to say it in Greek. And then you have to stand on your head and make it fun. So that's what we do. That's why it takes me so long to shave in the morning.
I was gonna say, don't ever schedule anything with Elias like in the first part of the morning because he's
No,
going through his ritual
going
practice.
to my ritual. Greek yogurt saving. It's very good for you. Yes,
Oh, I love it. Dolores said, "Are there flags involved?"
always, always. They're blowing in the wind, and
Of
if the
course.
wind isn't blowing, we have to have the fan on. So yeah,
I love it. So let's talk about untapped potential some more because I feel like there's so many ways into this subject. We've talked about that framework of having those limitations, whether it's consciously that we have placed upon ourselves, unconsciously things that have been handed to us, and like you said, also sometimes through love, not necessarily that everyone's trying to sort of box us in, but there's traditions or ideas, things passed down. Um, I feel like it's important for people to realize how normalized some of that is, so much so that we don't really recognize the ways that we're sort of going along with some of that conditioning or some of that programming. Um, it's has there ever been like sort of, well, you explained a couple moments, but has there ever been a time where you were surprised by a preconceived idea or something that you didn't know you were actually living out, like something that sort of really boxed you in, but you weren't clear on it until you were out of it? Does that make sense?
yes, many times. I have to tell you, those aha moments are priceless. They're
Mhm.
priceless. I I recognize that doing this work, one of the key pieces of the chords, if you will, the I want to say our energetic chords with birth parent and adopted parents.
Mhm.
So we can have a soul contract. We can have this soul blueprint, if you will, that is generationally put on, but then adopted kids get both. They get the
Hmm.
traditional family and the adopted family, the birth family and the adopted family. I always wondered, like, after my parents left, why was I always attracting a certain pattern? Why was I doing this? I mean, this is not how I was raised. This is not what was going on. And when I met my birth mother, that aha moment of like, oh my God, I have my fearful money issues
Wow.
from her stuff, from her selling pots and pans at a flea market in Greece, from her just, I want to say it, hooking up with the Pakistani man to go to Pakistan to wear the whole garb. And she was in a tent selling items to make money to bring it back to Greece.
Wow.
I mean, I was like, you did what? And she was telling me all this stuff. And I'm like, where has that showed up in my life where I felt that I just had to do whatever I could to go, 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 which isn't how I was, it wasn't how I was brought up. If I stopped and thought out the process and not go from a place of fear, of go from a place of what my mom and dad used to teach me, I would have, it would have been different. It would have been different. But I needed to know, I needed to put those two pieces together to understand it so I could help the me now, so I could
Right.
be the me today. And my parents always say, never have any fear. my mom always used to say, especially, she was like, God's always on your side. Never be afraid. Even when things look like it is so rough, you will always find a way. It always happens. Don't ever give that up. And that's when she'd throw in, she's like, my mom had 5 miscarriages. And she said, we wanted a child. If we took no for an answer, you wouldn't be here.
Wow.
So all those pieces, I think I was set up for this. My soul contract was like, yep, let's do this. You're going to be housed in this temple. And then that temple's not going to want you and going to give you up, and you're going to be raised by these amazing people.
I keep looking at them back there. I keep looking at them like
I always have them over my shoulder. So I learned so much from my life where I was struggling. I was getting in relationships that were not healthy. I was attracting narcissist after narcissist after narcissist, and even married one. And those lessons were so valuable. In that time, the victim martyr piece would come out, and I'm like, oh my God, and I sat and I was doing the work. It's not like I wasn't doing the work, but the aha didn't come until after the process.
Yeah. I love that. That's such a great example of how we can be doing the work. And that doesn't mean that it's that control idea again, a little bit, right? Of that it's going to go the way we want it to, or that if we're, working on something specifically doesn't mean everything else is just going to kind of like come together now. Although, of course, there are moments, some of them like that. But I think it's that persistence, that consistency, that resiliency that shines through. I love the idea of your mother and sharing that story about you and just saying, hey, you wouldn't be here if it was, if we listened to no. I think that's such an important thing, because there are moments when we're going through something where it can feel as if nothing's happening at all, or the opposite. We can feel like we're moving and we're just, my favorite phrase to describe this is like a turtle moving through peanut butter. And that's what it can feel like, a turtle moving through peanut butter, where you're like, everything feels like it's stacked up against you. But then there's these other moments where all of a sudden something new happens, right? Some new idea, insight, maybe even a desire to try to do it differently, or words of wisdom, from someone that just comes through and it reaches us. And then all of a sudden it's like, wait a minute, maybe there's another way here. But what I like about what you're sharing is that doesn't mean the effort is lost. It doesn't mean that all that work we're doing and that effort we're putting into something, it's still amazing. It's still contributing to something, but it doesn't mean it's the only way. I just love that. It's like something refreshing in that for people to hear. So if you've been like just struggling for a long time, or you've been trying to get it together, we hear this a lot as business owners, doing this kind of work with people. They're like, why hasn't this happened for me yet? Or why is this going on? You just got to keep going. You keep going, right. But also stay open, stay open to maybe something new coming in, a new insight. And if you're really struggling, I feel like it's important to find support, reach out for support, go to a retreat, get some of that humor, the trickster energy, the play. Can you just speak to that a little bit? So let's talk about your retreat. So April 4th?
It is April 12th, 13th, and 14th.
Okay. And tell us.
There's
Dora. Let me pop that in our, how do I do this? Show.
There you go. Ta-da! There it is. So that is going to be available. And I think we have, Melissa, if you want to put up the little.
Yeah, I've got a link for you guys to check this out right directly on Elias's website here.
Or the little flyer thingy.
Oh, that's right. And then we've got this. Check this out. You guys ready? Let's see. Here we go.
Ready? Look at her go. Woo! There it is. There it is.
that. Look at that. Oh, it's I'm actually going to just take this down for a second so everybody can see
Yep.
this, and I'll put this back up. So Skamania Lodge, we've both been here. It's an incredible place, but tell us a little bit about what this is like for you hosting a retreat in this gorgeous land, this property, this place. It's just so incredible. Just tell us a little bit about that.
It's my favorite place. It really is. I mean, I got married there, so that
Oh,
a thing. And there's something magical about that land. I don't know what it is. I really
yeah.
don't know what it is. There's something about the water and the mountain and all those gorgeous evergreen trees. It's something about that land that possibilities happen. Possibility happen, aha happens. It's magical.
And
It's
this image, guys, is like true to what it looks like. Like, this isn't just Photoshop or crazy vibrancy added to the picture. I just want to call that out. Like, this is legit the coloring of that place. That's how beautiful and vibrant it really is.
It is absolutely beautiful. And it is a place that people can go to just sit and take in nature, to walk
Mhm.
and take in nature. And it's really allowing the
I love
nature
that.
to nurture. It's good. It
Yeah.
is just an amazing place. Honestly, I don't have the words to tell you what it feels like to be on that place, on that land, and the the people that you meet on this retreat or any of the retreats always are there to support you in your aha.
Hmm.
They support you in your aha because you are doing the same for them. You might not realize it. You don't walk in and like, hi, here I am. I'm here to support you in your aha.
Right.
But to come in with an open heart and an open mind. And originally, this particular retreat, we were going to do it a little bit. Well, Skamania wanted to do it a little bit more traditional.
Hmm.
And I have several of my people coming, and I spoke with some of the people, and we're going to do this a little bit different. So we are going to have a sound healing with it's
Oh,
based on the Mapuche tribe of Chile, and I've taken liberties to change it and shift it, still honor where it comes from, but make it my own. And we're going to do that. We're going to have a guided meditation with movement, so a trance dance. We're going to do something out in nature called a nature painting. And we're going to talk also about the wheel of life and where is the balance and the imbalance in life. And if you give me a moment, crap, it's in the other room. Can you stall for me for a minute? Can
I
you
can
stall
tell.
for a minute?
I can tell. I'm going to talk about some magic of Skamania. So while Elias is grabbing the mysterious thing that he's going to grab, I will say that this is a beautiful place. I've been here a couple of times, and the location is outstanding. It's outstanding. It's the type of place. Let's be real. You can go anywhere in nature and have a connection. You can spend time and you can connect with the land, and it's absolutely incredible. But when you go somewhere like this that has the elements so present, you have bodies of water, you're surrounded by these trees, it just feels like this beautiful little place that's carved out in a mountaintop. It's really incredible. You feel like you're in touch with nature in such a different way. The words that come to me, it's like being held, right? And that experience for people, this is where nature is healing in ways they may not understand or what's happening. Where actually, if you are someone who's really struggled to allow people into your life, to feel safe with people, to trust people, you can work with nature in a way to really begin shifting these different deep splits that we have within us. And one of the ways you can do that is going to a place like this and allowing yourself to feel that nurturing connection to the space, because the spaces speak to us. The land will speak to us in different ways. And when you honor it, there is a reciprocal energy. So it isn't about just going somewhere and taking something from it either. It's a reciprocal energy. You go, you have deep gratitude, appreciation in your heart for what it is that this place is offering. And through that, you receive. It's through that connection, through the heart, that you will receive. It's beautiful. And then having somebody like Elias to facilitate through these different moments of connection, of interaction. You have downtime, you have these amazing meals. I'll have to ask him when he comes back, but I know there's a fantastic restaurant that's on the facility, or, on the grounds. And you just feel so nurtured the whole time you're there. The rooms that you stay in, the elements that are there, I believe they still have fire pits outside and
They do
just
have fire
beautiful. Like,
pits outside.
do they? And so I want to ask about food. I was telling them about the restaurant that's on site that's just absolutely wonderful. So I'm assuming that's part of what people are also
Well,
partaking in, right?
because
Is eating there.
yes, so Liz Dawn, who is CEO and co-founder of Celebrate Your Life, they are promoting this retreat. Skamania asked Celebrate Your Life to help, I guess, co-promote this retreat. And Liz is always good about food, you know that. So she's a foodie. So the food is amazing. It's amazing. And
Definitely
we want to
amazing
go
food.
back to us being full screen.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So, and thanks everybody. Um,
Yeah, we got some great hello, hello. Hi, Jean. Hi, Chris. Chris said Elias's retreats are amazing.
thanks, Chris.
Yes.
So I know you know this, but here is the wheel of life. And this, we're going to take a look at all these pieces of the pie here, that what area is in balance with you and out of balance. Are you focusing so much on fun and recreation that you would give it, like, from the center, you would go all the way and fill this all the way out
Mhm.
to here? And then you're like, well, why does my finance suck? Well, maybe it's because you have so much fun and recreation. It's being spent on that. So we're going to look at all this and talk about the wheel of life.
I love that. It gets it out of the head and talk about untapped potential, right? It puts it into a form that people can work with, because there's something about seeing these dynamics that you can't always see. Even if you live it every single day, we're not really mindful about those dynamics the way that we think we are. But when you put that on paper, even though there's moments of like, ooh, I've got some work to do here, there's nothing like the clarity that comes with that. And then the universe sort of supporting in this shift, because it's like, I'm willing to look at this, I'm willing to work
Right.
with this. I love that. Now when you work with people with that type of exercise, what is something that's kind of like surprising sometimes for them to discover when they do get it out of their head and onto the page? What kind of things happen for them?
This is a typical life coaching form, if you will. We actually had to do this day 2 of massage school. So it was fascinating to do, to see where we're out of balance.
Yeah.
And I think what people can look from this is, I've put so much, like we were talking earlier, here's blinders. I'm looking so much here, but totally ignoring this piece here. So it's an important thing to look at. And part 2 of this is creating a SMART goal, but we're going to take it even further. We're going to call it a SMARTERS, SAMARTERS goal, where it's specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, time-based,
Mm.
emotional. So that's the SMART, right?
Uh,
Then relatable. And then the last one is support.
mm.
We're going to look at smarters, how to create a smarters goal, not just a smart goal, but a smarters goal. So we have the woo woo piece, and we have the very thought filled piece, and then we have the heart piece. So
I love
this is
it.
really a truly well rounded experience.
Oh, you need everything. You need all of that for that type of experience. I think that a lot of us tend to leave out we have our preferences, right? It's like there's some of us, it's so much more fun to focus on one part of the chart versus another. But in order to really tap into your potential to get a bigger, a wider view of what's at work within your life, you know, it's
Right.
important that we have that kind of clarity and we work with those things. But I love that you're doing that in a way that gives a structure to it. It actually gives something for people to work with, because I feel like a lot of times there's so many concepts we work on, but it's very like ethereal. It's kind of like we talk about it and there's an aha moment or something, but then life happens and we can forget. So having that tool, working with them on that, I love that kind of a process. It sounds like you are offering like an integration, right? Something to actually move with versus, okay, we ripped off a band-aid, everybody go home.
Well, thanks for being here.
Ta-da!
And what I'm going to ask, if it is all good, my goal is to then have something created. I'm hoping I'll have to find out, so don't quote me on this, everybody. But my goal is to have a Facebook group where we can meet, and then a month later we have a retreat review online,
Ooh,
and
I
just
love
kind
it.
of say, how's the process going? What did you experience?
Yeah. Oh, it's so good. Let me just pop these details up here
Yeah.
again. So you have a couple spots left, right?
Yes.
And so April 12th through 14th, that's coming up quick, my friends, but there's nothing better than just booking a spontaneous trip because you deserve it. So it's coming up, couple of weeks. Balancing act, retreat, distress, de-stress, and discover your life in harmony, Skamania Lodge, Stevenson, Washington. Oh my gosh, even just the drive, the like it feels like a fairy tale. It
Yeah.
feels like a fairy tale. Like you're in this car and you go across the what is it? The bridge. The wasn't the bridge of the gods or
Bridge of the Gods.
oh my gosh, it's just like you feel like you're in a fairy tale. And that doesn't stop. That feeling stays with you and it just keeps getting better and better and better. And the lodge itself is massive. Like it's just an
Gorgeous. It's
incredible place.
absolutely gorgeous.
Do you give people too, I'm guessing some downtime to sort of process or some like, you know, or
Normally, I don't, Melissa. Normally on my retreats, I don't. And it all depends on the theme of the retreat. On
oh,
one of the
okay.
retreats, it was called Aspects of Love. I didn't because it was all about the heart. If they
Yeah.
took time off, like if they got a 3 hour break or something, they go back into here and then we lose that piece.
Ooh, that
I
makes sense.
gave them about an hour for a break to like journal, whatever. But this retreat, yes, they do get some downtime where they can go get a massage, they can go zip lining, they can go play in the jungle gym, the
In
aerial
the
jungle gym.
trees. Yeah,
You'd never catch me on. And the zip line, no problem. But it's really great. And guys, the food and lodging is included in this retreat. It
that's
is food,
amazing.
lodging, and the retreat, except for Saturday morning. Don't know why, but except for Saturday morning. So,
Yeah.
and it's 45 minutes away from the Portland airport.
Amazing. Amazing. It's an easy, beautiful drive. Every second of it is worth it. I hope you guys go. I can't recommend Elias and his work enough. And this lodge, this land and location, this is a full package. Like you're getting everything in this experience. It really is going to be amazing. And I'm slightly jealous. I'm not going to be able to be
I wish
attending.
you were. I wish
I
you could come.
know. Oh, it'll be so much fun. I'm going to be deep in my dissertation chaos. So I can't make it, but
You're going to have your own shaving cream moment.
that's right. Oh my goodness. Well, thank you so much, Elias. I think it's fantastic. And so people should just reach out to Elias, right? So we have a couple things here. So we've got, let me pop your link back in actually. I'm going to put it in the comments in case you guys want to go right to his website directly and check it out. It's in the comments, but here we go. And I know some of you are hopping on now for the replay. You're going to want to go back and watch. This was certainly a fun time. I'm also going to be adding these links into the video as well so that you can grab those and go check out what's going on. He's got a bunch of retreats and services, amazing things for you guys to participate in. But these are the kind of things that are just, we have so much resistance to doing really kind, good things for ourselves. We always have to justify a price. We have to justify the time off. We have to justify all these different details. And I promise you, that when you make this kind of a decision to invest in yourself in this way, it has a ripple effect on everything. It has a ripple on your life, your family, everything that you do. When you take some time like this to do some really powerful healing work for yourself. So I hope that you will participate in this retreat. And again, I'm slightly jealous, but maybe there's one calling us in the future. We'll see.
You never
So
know.
anyway, thank you, Elias, so much for being here. Thanks. And Chris said, thank you. Really enjoyed this today. Yeah, so reach out to Elias about the retreat details. It's coming up in just a couple of weeks, my friends. And happy Friday, everyone.
Happy Friday. Woo woo.
Woohoo!
Thanks,
All
everybody.
right, we'll
Thank
see
you
you all
for the time.
soon. Thanks so much, Elias, for being here today, too. Really
Thank
appreciate
you.
you. And your lovely
Thanks.
green sweater. It's fabulous.
Of my people. Thank you.
You're welcome. We'll see you all soon. Everybody have a great day and take care.